Hello there ladies and gentlemen, I am the CHALL and welcome to another match report. Stevenage 1, Doncaster Rovers 0 on this midweek massacre, this midweek nightmare. Was I expecting us to beat Stevenage? No. Was I expecting at least a bit of effort? Yes. In the first half we got none of that. Second half was a little bit better, but at the end of the day, Stevenage didn't have to get out of second gear to beat us. They just had to stroll along, keep it comfortable. We barely laid a glove on them, and once again, these players are showing why they've written the season off straight away. They've written the season off. They've written the season off for months now, and it's just not good enough. Now, before we get started, make sure you do like, comment, subscribe, click the notification bell to know this YouTube video. I'm going to talk about Danny Schofield as well, because I think, as you've seen from the pictures before the game and during the warm-up, he looked a broken man on that touchline, looking like Klopp watching from sidelines. He looked like a broken man, and it's just something doesn't feel right now. Let's get into this match report. Stevenage 1, Doncaster Rovers 0. Doncaster Rovers have won one of their last 10 away trips back on the 11th of February against Swindon Town. Schofield's side have no wins in 7 games and could finish as low as 20th. Stevenage have moved back into the automatic promotion place with a 4-game unbeaten run, but have never beaten Doncaster Rovers at their home ground. Until tonight. Steve Evans made 2 changes to the starting lineup as James Luther Wilding and Jake Taylor starts ahead of Kane Smith and Jake Reeves, who both dropped to the bench. Jordan Roberts, who's on his way to becoming the club's top goal scorer this season, started in the attack once again. There are 2 changes from the Rovers team that started in the draw with Harrogate Town on Saturday, with Kyle Hurst and James Brown both starting, ahead of Charlie Seaman, who dropped to the bench, and Zane Westbrook, who missed out entirely, which could mean another injury. Injury hit Doncaster Rovers, Curly named 6 substitutes this evening, showcasing how thin the squad is for the rest of the season. So Stevenage 1, Doncaster Rovers 0. What in the bloody hell was that? Now, like I said right at the start of the show, I didn't expect to beat Stevenage tonight. They were, second or third, looking to cement their automatic promotion place, and with Bradford looking like they've dropped points against Swindon tonight, with, I think Stockport's dropped points tonight, with Northampton winning as well. Both them and Northampton are really cutting that gap to 3 points, with them in 4th. It just something, I didn't expect us to beat Stevenage at all. I expected Stevenage to win by at least a couple of goals today. 1-0 is a scoreline that probably flattens us more than them. It really, really does, because first half we were just awful. We were pathetic. Like I said, I wanted to see at least some effort. I did want us to come into this game, just have a bit of fight about us, but again, it showcases what I've known for about a month or so, that the majority of these players have wrote off this season and have just written off the season completely, and they won't even show the fans they can finish the season strong either. They're just like, well, there's nothing we can do, let's go on to the beach, let's focus about our holidays, let's focus about our wage checks, and let's go and find a new club next season, or we'll come back to the same club and it'll be the same old, same old. Because that is the expectation of the fans now. We're expecting the same old next season. And I do want to believe in Danny Schofield. I do want to believe what he's doing, because at the end of the day, I'll stretch the point till the day I die. These aren't his players, all his players. Anderson's injured. Olawu's injured. Hurst is on the pitch. Second half looks a little bit brighter, but first half barely got fed. Feed him. He needs his box of Fruity Pebbles. Feed him. It's just, Hurst barely got a scrap. Agard barely got a scrap. And the point I want to highlight, especially in that first half, is we are pumping long balls to a side that are fantastic in the air. They've got height, they've got ability in the air, they've got battling ability. They can battle with the gladiators. It's the gladiators. They can battle with them in the air, on the ground. They can battle with them. They've got the height for it. So why in the bloody hell are we pumping long balls to a striker that's not as tall as the centre backs and can't win any ball in the air whatsoever and can't hold it up against 2 big centre backs? Why? Because if we try and go quick, which is what I suggested online, but then I remembered, oh wait, we haven't got the personnel to do it, because We've got a massive injury list, and surprise, surprise, in January we didn't invest in depth. We didn't invest in depth in January. We didn't bring in a couple more players just for that added depth. Yes, we brought in Westbrook after the window, but did that do any good for us? He showed some energy in the midfield, but surprise, surprise, he's out. He could be injured for the rest of the season. We'll see what happens with that. But surprise, surprise, we've got barely any depth. And 6 subs. I think Nathan pointed out on Twitter. Someone, mate of mine called Nathan. Why not bring up an academy lad? But then again, well, knowing the fan base, they'll complain on Twitter about having an academy lad on the bench again. But at least fill the 7th spot up with someone. At this stage, you might as well just fill the 7th substitute spot up with Donny Dog. You might as well. You know, he can bark at the opposition, distract him, and get Kyle Hurst running down the right wing and score. We might have a chance then. But I've got to have a laugh about it, because if you don't laugh, you'll cry. It's literally that serious. Like I said, I wasn't expecting us to beat Stevenage tonight, but my God, should we at least have a little bit of ounce of effort about us just to finish the season strong and just go into the next season with some kind of momentum? Because if we go into next season, 1 win in 13, 14, 15, 16, if we go into next season 1 win in 16, we're going to look like a couple of prats. We're going to look like a bunch of prats. We're going to look like a bunch of prats. It's that simple. And at the end of the day, in the first half, we barely showed anything. We couldn't even master a 5-yard pass. Danny Schofield, one of the main things about Schofield is he talks about the fundamentals of football, the basics. We can't even get the basics right now. We can't even make a straight 5-yard pass. We can't even pass to an opposition. I think it was the first half of the second half. Molyneux looked at Adam Long, who passed to him under pressure and knew he was under pressure and still passed to him. And he looked at him and saying, what's that? What was that? And that's one player I want to highlight tonight. Yes, the majority of the squad was poor tonight, but my God, Adam Long, he had a shocker of a match. He had an absolute poor match. He had a really poor performance. But to be honest with you, I don't overall blame it on Adam Long, because at the end of the day, he wasn't given game time earlier in the season, and I felt he should have done, because Adam Long can play on the left-hand side of a back three. And, you know, we had the opportunity to do that before Ben Nelson came in on loan. I felt there was an opportunity wasted with that. Yes, there was a time where he was injured, and you can't, you know, fault the club or anything like that for that, because at the end of the day, a player's injured. You can't do that. But when a player's available and you have a choice to bring him in and you don't, then I question you as a gaffer. Then I question your choice. Just something about that. I thought Aidan Barlow looked a little bit off the mark at times. I think there was moments where he could have done something. I thought he was probably one of the best winger players tonight for us. I think he was probably the better of the two overall. But again, Barlow had scraps to feed off for parts of that match. Hurst had scraps for the majority of that match. Agard had scraps for the majority of that match. But then Schofield doesn't help himself in these situations, because what's he do? He takes off Agard at half time for a striker. He doesn't go there and say, we're struggling to score. We need to, you know, put pressure on them. What do we do? Oh, I know. Instead of putting 2 up front, I'll replace a striker with a striker. Change your system, Schofield. If this... And look, I'm going to see both sides to this, right? And I'm only saying this because I'm playing devil's advocate in this situation. My view is, playing devil's advocate here, he's using this run of games to test certain people in certain positions and test certain systems to see what works, what doesn't work, and what he needs to invest in the summer. Can't someone tell Danny Schofield to just trust 2 strikers for at least one half? You could see we had no shots at all in that first half. We had no shots. I don't know how we just averaged the possession on Stevenage. I've no idea how we've done that. But someone should have said to Schofield, you know what, Danny? Why not try putting 2 people up front and maybe either try reverting to a back 4 like a 4-4-2, or maybe just put 2 up front and keep your back 3, and maybe just try and go a bit more attacking. Why is he making like-for-like changes? Why isn't he putting 2 strikers up front and going for it when Stevenage are, yeah, don't get me wrong, Stevenage are putting a lot of pressure on us in that match, but at least try and take the game to them. At least try and go for it, because if you try and at least look like you're attempting to try and take the game to Stevenage, I think you'll get a lot more respect from the fans. But what we did, we were pragmatic. Yes, he's going away from his style of football a little bit and trying to go for a more pragmatic style for the end of the season because we haven't got the personnel to play his style of football. I get that. But what I don't get is lack of effort for the entirety of the first half and definitely sections of that second half. And I do not get why Schofield doesn't help himself by trying to put two up front and at least trying to go for it in the second half. You know, if we get trumped 2 or 3-0 but look like we're going for it and give 110% each and every minute of that match, we wouldn't have bothered. We wouldn't have bothered. Yes, it's another loss. Yes, it's disintegrating. Yes, it's extermination ratified. But, you know, at least you gave us something to look forward to in that second half where we looked like we were running, we looked like we were going to try for it. But what did I see in that second half? I saw spells of us looking a little bit brighter, but again, we were just making our own mistakes. We were the masters of our own downfall. It's like we were the master and a clone of ourselves was the Doctor, and we had a laser screwdriver on his backside, turning him into 160 years old. It's like we were degenerating ourselves. You know, Are You Ready? Degeneration X. We were degenerating ourselves, and what I can't understand is, even if we're trying to stay away from our style of football because we haven't got the personnel to go for it, why in the bloody hell are we at least not trying to go for it? Yes, Stevenage put the pressure on us, and yes, I understand that. But what I don't understand is why we are just sitting back and just inviting pressure. I saw more playing out from the back today than the past couple of games against Harrogate and Gillingham, where we sort of went for a more pragmatic style. Yes, I went for a bit more pragmatic style tonight, but what I saw again was playing out from the back at times, and what I can't understand is why we didn't put 2 people up front and at least try to take the game to Stevenage. I do not get it at all. And what that says to me is, yes, he won't change from his formation, and I'm probably prone to admit that, and this isn't me being a happy clapper, this isn't me trying to sit back and watch it happen without saying anything to criticise it or anything like that, or constructively criticise it. But what I will say is, I think it's pretty clear that he's going to stick with the 3-4-3. It's pretty clear next season he's going to stick with the 3-4-3. I'll be very surprised if he does. I'll be honest, I'll be very surprised if he does. If he doesn't, then fair play. But what I can't understand is how he can stick to one formation, or pretty much one formation, even when it doesn't work, and won't, you know, even improve it. And, you know, you don't have to completely change it, you know. I would have been more happy going 3-5-2. I would have been more than happy to switch a winger into an attacking midfielder, go 2 up front, and just go for it. At least take the game to Stevenage and look like you want to give them a good game, because, like, they had to play it in the corner for the last 4 minutes, for the 4 minutes at a time. It looked like Stevenage were playing a game of patty cake with the corner flag. Patty cake, score the goal with yourself. The corner flag was just standing there and making more passes than Rovers were in the last 4 minutes. Very tame ending to the match. It's like we're trying to tame a lion in the circus, just back. It's so tame. It's so tame, that ending. And Stevenage barely had to get out of second gear. It's like if you're in the front of the car, you're on. It looks like I'm doing a knock, but I'm really, well, knock. Who's there? Doncaster Rovers. What a joke! But it's like you're sitting in second gear, and it's like you're scared to pull into first. So, actually, no. To be fair, that's unfair to Stevenage. It's like they were afraid to go into first gear. Stevenage. It's like they were just not even bothering to go into first gear because they just sat there like. I mean, Donny have barely laid a glove on us. You know. Why should I get out of first gear? Why should I get into first gear, get out of second gear, and just bottle Doncaster Rovers? Sound Australian, you know, g'day mate, you know, bon voyage. But why Stevenage didn't have to get out of second gear to beat us, because they could beat us in 31st gear tonight. it was round the back, it was sideways backwards, and we just didn't have an answer for Stevenage tonight. It's that simple. We just didn't have an answer for them. Like I said, Stevenage probably could have killed the game off, but they thought, why should I bother, because we've got other games in front of us to cement our automatic promotion place. And let's just put it this way in the long-term picture, shall we? What was it, about 3 years ago? Three years ago? Stevenage were reprieved from relegation following the situation with Macclesfield into the National League. We were in League One, finishing 8th under Darren Moore. 3 years later, they're about to be a division above us. Can you explain? Because I can't. Oh, wait, I can. No. Scratch that, I can't explain. It's because Stevenage, sorted themselves out and they got themselves working under a certain plan. We've chopped and changed plans for every one of those 3 years. Every single one of those 3 years, we've chopped and changed plans due to certain factors and certain aspects of our history. It's just, something's not right, and it can only be fixed one way or another. So it's either going to be fixed greatly, or it's going to be fixed very badly, patched up, and it's going to get worse next season. It's going to go one of two ways. So 1-0 Stevenage. Didn't have to get out of that second gear. It was poor from us overall. Better in the second half a little bit, but still not enough. We've got Newport on Saturday. Omar Bogle coming back to haunt us. Won't be surprised if he scores. But we're just going to have to see what happens for the rest of the season now. I don't expect any wins for the rest of the season. Newport, they're Colchester at home for the last home game, and then off to Walsall away for the last away game of the season. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if Walsall beat us as well. And that might make me negative, but that's just being realistic. But thank you very much, guys, for watching this video. Make sure you do like, comment, subscribe. And for now, I'm the CHALL. Ta-ra for now. I'm off to Blackpool for a pina colada.